Don Fleischau at the Milwaukee County Zoo, and we are talking about the polar bear right now. And Don, let's begin with that. You've had this animal here for a while.
Yeah, she's been here at our zoo probably about 10 years now.
They live to be quite older in captivity, correct?
Yeah, and that's true of most animals, compared to the wild. They do live a lot longer in captivity. Polar bears in captivity can live into the mid-30s.
Okay.
40s would be a really long life. In the wild, if they live to their 20s, they're doing pretty good.
Wow, so yeah, okay, so 40 would be a long life, but 20s, that's still a long life. I mean,
Yeah, they're a long-lived animal. They don't hibernate, so they're active most of that time, which is different than a lot of our bears in North America here, which can also live into their 30s, but they're hibernating half of that time almost.
Yeah. The fact that they live this long in captivity, their lifespan in the wild, what are we looking at approximately? I mean, I suppose that they live to be old. I mean, they're not long, right? 15
yeah, they're
years
not dying of old age diseases
No.
normally in the wild. It's, competition is tough, and once you're beyond your peak of fitness,
Yeah.
then your quality of life starts to decline. Probably, low 20s is a long life for a wild bear.
Right.
A wild polar bear.
Yeah. Well, I know in today's times we're having some problems with that because we have of course, the melting ice up there in the Arctic.
Yeah.
And then, bear dens, some of them actually, the snow, when it warms caves, the cubs don't make it.
Yep.
They've faced brutality of poaching and then now all this. And I know that they do a lot of hunting for seals and things like that on floating ice, correct?
Probably 75 to 90% of their diet in the wild is seals.
Yeah.
And they don't get in the water and swim after and catch a seal. They need to be on the big expanses of sea ice to get to where the seals are and as a platform for hunting them.
Okay.
So without the ice, they really cannot catch a seal.
Okay, yeah, and that ice is melting. When that happens, and they can swim, they're good swimmers, but they can't swim forever. They tire out and they can drown.
Right, yeah. I mean, there's been animals reported swimming for, days on end.
Yeah.
Where they probably used to hunt in a certain area, or, hunger alone has driven them out into the water to look for, a source of seals or a source of food. And either the place that they used to go is no longer there because the ice didn't form there.
Right.
Or, the seas are rougher. That's another thing that's really a problem for them when they get in the water to swim, is they have kind of a dog paddle, style of swimming where they're just going along the top, and usually it's in pretty calm water.
Yeah.
With the currents changing and all this climate, global things going on, there's a lot of changes in their habitat that affects every aspect of their livelihood and their hunting abilities.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I know they've been spotted where they've actually moved down to Canada. Does that sound correct or accurate?
There is some populations in Canada, yeah. And, as food is less available, any animal will start to broaden its territory looking for more food, and coming south is another possibility. Each animal has a fight or flight kind of threshold, and they will avoid, if they're cornered, they will try to flee if they don't have somewhere to go.
Yeah.
Depending upon the situation. If it's a mother with young, that's a totally different story. But they're not looking for a fight.
Yeah.
That's a potential injury to them. It's using valuable energy. They're very efficient. They're looking for survivability, and fighting, for no reason is not beneficial.
You guys have this water here laid out. It does go in and take a dip now and then, and people can come to your zoo and watch it swim around.
Yeah, we do even have some underwater viewing windows down there. When the bear's in the water, it's pretty neat to see. They'll come, sometimes and put their feet right on the glass, and it's kind of cool to compare, this dinner plate foot, even this close, in this captive setting, you don't really get a feel for how big these animals are until you're right up next to them.
For the public, they want to come out and see your bear here at the zoo. They can come out at any time and see it. How long do you think this bear will be with you till it dies, correct?
Yeah, most likely. There is a what's called a species survival program. A lot of endangered animals in captivity have this kind of management program overseeing their display, their breeding program and such. So with polar bears, there is a person who is the species coordinator who does recommendations for, which bears should go to which facilities. They look at all of the, holding space in zoos or in captive places, how many bears are available, the genetics of each bear, which animals should be recommended to breed, pairing up males and females. So as of now, our plan is to keep her, but if, that person were to say we wanted you to send her somewhere else,
that would go somewhere
we would
else.
follow those recommendations because it's for the benefit of the species.
The benefit of the species. A lot of people get the wrong opinions of zoos. They don't belong in captivity. they get a much better chance here than they do in the wild today with all the problems we're facing.
Right. And, there decades ago, animals may have been kept in, kind of crowded conditions, or naturalistic things weren't necessarily, the first thing they thought of when they were designing exhibits. But really nowadays, zoos, especially AZA accredited zoos, are doing everything they can to educate the public, do right by these animals, preserve the, the wild counterparts.
Right.
And, this is hopefully, a representative and an ambassador for wild polar bears, and we'd hope that people would come here and, make a connection with this animal so they feel compelled to try to protect it in the wild.
Dawn, I really want to take the time to thank you for this. I really appreciate your time with us.
My pleasure.